Hi, I'm Skylar Gaul, and have you ever wanted to rip your face off? I have, and today I will be talking to you about my struggle with acne. Firstly, I'll tell you all about my experience and what I went through, and then, secondly, I'll tell you what I learned about self-image, how to view others, and that every situation has an ending. So, when I was a freshman in high school, I had perfectly clear skin, and while this may sound a little conceited, I was very happy about this. I took pride in how I look and how I appeared to others. I based how I viewed myself off of my outward appearance instead of my inward appearance, which we all know you should never do. I even judged others based on how they appeared on the outside. If they had acne or scarring, I just didn't understand why they had that since I had never experienced it. I vividly remember there was this one girl who had really bad breakouts, cystic. It didn't look good. And I remember thinking, why doesn't she just fix it? And I know now that isn't possible. You can't just fix it. But at the time, that was the perfect solution in my head. One day, at some point during the year, my face started to break out. And at first, it was just 3 to 4 pimples I could easily cover with some concealer, and I wasn't too concerned about it. But then it got to a point where I was coating my face in makeup to try to cover all the breakouts I was experiencing, and I was trying to make myself seem perfect again when I felt so unconfident. And I felt like everyone was judging me since, as I've said, I judged people when they had acne, so I just was not feeling good with myself. So I went to my parents and I begged them to put me on Accutane, which, if you're not familiar, it is a very harsh dermatologist prescribed pill. I was supposed to be on the pill for 6 months, and every month I would get my blood drawn to test if my organs were starting to fail, which sounds really dramatic, but that's just how harsh the medication was. To this day, I have horrible back pain from the way the medication dried out my joints, my back, my skin. It's still affecting me to this day, and it was a decision I made years ago. Eventually, by the end of the 6 months, my skin had cleared up, but now I had horrible scarring, and I felt even worse about myself than I had before. I had divots in my face from the pimples, and I just hated my appearance. For a good few years, I felt like this, but eventually I learned that my appearance did not dictate who I was as a person, and my scars didn't make me ugly. I had to learn to be confident in myself again, and I did this through many ways, but the most notable was how I learned to work with my scarring and realized it didn't make me unattractive. Then, I found other ways to make myself feel confident, such as doing my makeup, doing my hair, changing my clothes. From my story, the 3 points I am trying to convey to you today are: do not base your self-worth on how you appear on the outside. Do not judge others based on their appearance, and that every situation has an ending, even if you didn't expect it to. Firstly, I'll explain how I believe my personal narratives shows you to not base your worth on how you look. I have been repeatedly mentioning this in an effort to convey to you how wrong my mindset was at the beginning of this story. Your self-worth should be based on your characteristics that make you you, such as your personality, your intelligence, your kindness, your humor, anything that makes you who you are as a person. I won't say that your appearance doesn't relate to this, because it does, but it should never be what you focus on fully as your self-image. Secondly, as I've been mentioning as well, my story should encourage you to not judge others based on how they look. I know this is a lesson that everyone says we follow, but we all know that's not true for everyone. People create misconceptions about others when they first meet them, and they continue to have these misconceptions when they continue to talk to them. I was aiming to show you through my story that you do not always know what someone is going through. As I said, I had a very bad mental space during this, and people are still the same no matter if their appearance has changed most of the time. For me, I had the same emotions, I had the same personality, I just looked different on the outside. I hope my story inspires you to begin viewing those who you have met with their appearance altered by acne, scarring, injuries, and you start to view them as if they had a clear face and their skin was perfect. Lastly, for my 3rd point, every situation has an outcome, even if it's not what you expected it to be, as I've said. For me, I never thought I would have horrible cystic acne, and then I never thought I'd feel confident in myself again. I'm trying to show you how even though a situation is not how you expected it to be, that the ending doesn't have to be negative. It can be positive, it just might take some time to get there. So, today, I talked to you about my preteen struggle with acne ruining how I viewed myself and how I learned to become confident again. Then, I explained my 3 points I hoped you learned from my story, which were: first, base your self-worth on how you look on the inside, not the outside. Second, don't judge others based on how they look. And Thirdly, that every situation has an ending, even if it's not what you expected it to be, and it might take some time to get there. Therefore, I hope you take these lessons into consideration, even if you personally cannot relate to them, and remember that nothing ever stays perfect for long.